Jake here for Extreme Terrain, and in this video we're taking a look at the Raxium LED taillights with red housings and smoked lenses fitting 2018 and newer JL Wranglers with halogen taillights. Inject your JL with some cool style and extra lighting output with these Raxium LED taillights. These will bring a unique style to your JL and provide you with much better lighting output than your factory halogen tails, and they do it for a really great price. Swapping out your JL's taillights is an easy way to update the looks and the actual lighting output, and these have a pretty cool style to them. Now the outer edges here have these LEDs that form sort of an hourglass shape, again giving them a pretty unique style. Now those are going to function as your running lights, with your brake, turn signal, and your reverse lights all being taken care of by these intersection of LEDs. Now these parts, top and bottom here, are going to be your brake and turn signal lights, and they're also pretty cool because they have this sort of three-dimensional design. They sort of shrink in towards the center, giving you sort of a perspective type of look to them, and it gives them a really interesting layered appearance. Definitely something that you don't see in every other option out there. Now again, those are going to lead to this center section right here where you're going to find the white LED reverse lights. Now all the lighting here, as the name would imply, is taken care of by LEDs, meaning that these are going to put out a lot more light than your factory halogens too. So not only do they look cool, but they're also going to make your Jeep more visible out on the street or trail. And that's even taking into account these sweet smoked lenses. Now these are actually quite dark, as you can see here on the table. Even with lights on them, they're still pretty dark, but those LEDs are going to cut right through that and give you great output that you're looking for. Now those lenses are pretty dark, as you can see here. We've even got some studio lights on them, but they're still pretty dark. However, those LEDs are going to cut right through that, giving you some extra lighting output. So if you're after that as well, these are going to get you there. Now the outer housings here are made from ABS plastic, and the lenses are made from the industry standard polycarbonate. Now everything is nicely sealed up here to prevent the ingress of dirt and moisture and keep all that weather out. So if you do happen to get some nasty weather out on the trail, or I don't know, hit some mud puddles, these aren't going to give up on you. And everything comes wired up, as you can see. You've already got the resistors included and wired in. These are just going to plug right in. So it makes for a pretty easy installation, but we'll talk more about that in a few moments. And with LEDs inside, these should also last you a good long while too. And all that makes the topic of pricing even more interesting, because these are only going to come in at about $175, which makes them a pretty affordable option. I think it makes them very interesting in the market because they've got all these features in them. And you know, lights for JLs aren't super expensive to begin with. They're usually pretty simple, but especially since you're upgrading here to a full LED setup versus your stock halogens, that's a really good value. And if you want those LEDs, you want that extra output, and you like the style here, and if you want those LEDs, or even if you just like the style and you're looking to black out your Jeep, these are going to be a great buy for you. Installation is going to get a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and it should take you about 45 minutes to complete the job. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is pretty much a plug and play operation here. All the wiring is already done for you, including the inline resistor, so you don't have to worry about any of that. About the only thing that you'll have to do outside of what you might expect is attach the included brackets with the hardware that's already in here. Again, these are just a few screws and clips that you're going to have to do up, nothing too advanced or intricate. So with that, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through the process.
For this install, you need a 3/8 ratchet, a 1/4 ratchet, a T40 socket, a 5.5mm socket, and a Phillips head screwdriver. All right, today we're going to be installing some taillights on our Jeep Wrangler. But first, we're going to watch a video on how to uninstall the stock ones, and we'll come back here to install the new ones.
All right, so the first step in our install is to grab a trim panel removal tool, and with your back window and tailgate open, on the inside you can access your taillights. Go ahead and put your trim panel tool underneath this tab here and remove this piece of plastic. All right, so with that piece of plastic removed, you can see a small white plastic Torx bolt. We're gonna go ahead and remove that so that we can get the taillight out of the back of the Jeep. Grab a T40 Torx socket and remove this. With the bolt removed, you can now grab your taillight and pull straight towards you. Locate your main connector, pull back on the red tab, press down, and remove it.
All right, to get our taillights ready, what we need to do is swap over our plastic bracket. As you can see, we have our right side taillight, and we have our new right side taillight marked R on the back. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a Phillips head screwdriver, take our 3 screws out, and then install it over here. All right, we're gonna swap it over. You will see the 2 locating pins that'll go over. And then the kit does come with 3 new screws. All right, now we have our resistor pack. What we're gonna do is mount it to our bracket here. So you can see it will line up here. We have 2 Phillips head screws. And then on the back side, we have 2 5.5 millimeter nuts. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold the head of the screw with our Phillips head screwdriver. And grab our ratchet and tighten them down. All right, now you just repeat those same steps for the other taillight. All right, we're ready to install our new headlight now. Just what we need to do is we need to attach our bracket to our body. So we have our 2 black clips. Just gonna slide them over. And then we're just gonna go inside the body here, and just clip it onto the inside. And then we can plug our main harness in. Tuck our wires in and then slide our headlight into place so that we can install our bolt on the inside. Right now we can come to the inside and install our bolt back in. We're gonna grab our ratchet and our T40 socket and tighten it down. All right, that's secure. Now we can just put our plastic trim into place. All right, now we just repeat the same thing on the other side. All right, and that wraps up our install of our Araxium LED taillights with a red housing and smoked lens for our 2018 to newer Jeep Wrangler JL with factory halogen taillights. And remember, for everything Wrangler, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.